Thank you for having me with you today virtually. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. My name is Susan Credle. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of Foot Cone and Belding, otherwise known as FCB. And I thought I would start today by letting you know why I came and joined FCB, I think it's 5 years ago. And something happened in the agency business, which is that FCB in 2015 was known as Draft FCB. And this had been because of a merger between two agencies, Draft, which was a direct marketing company, and FCB, which was a creative agency. It was a really interesting idea, and I think an idea way before its time, which is that how direct marketing and performance marketing was going to start to be a very important piece of the agency business. What was interesting to me, though, is that by making it Draft FCB, as an outsider looking in, I was confused as to what the direction of the agency was going to be. When I saw our CEO, Carter Murray, take the name Draft off the door, it got my attention. I was working in another agency, and I was like, what's going on over there? And I think this is an important story because the actions that you do in your company are talking to people outside of that company, and they will pay attention if they're interesting enough. And so when I saw FCB become FCB, return to FCB, I thought, there's action there, there's something exciting there, and I'm paying attention. And that's not unlike anything we do in advertising and in marketing, is that what do you do that sends a signal that you're headed somewhere? So when Carter called me and said, would you like to join, I picked up the phone. Even though FCB was not having the best moment as a creative agency. Not a bad moment, but not the best moment. And he talked to me about coming in and writing a story for FCB, being a part of a turnaround. I actually would say, beyond being a part of a turnaround, it was about rediscovering, reclaiming the DNA of FCB, which in my childhood and early years in the advertising business had created work that I adored and had been profoundly interesting to me, and it had drawn me into the business in the first place. So I guess, you know, as we think about the name FCB and as marketers, you know, what signals are you sending to the world inside your company and outside your company that makes it clear you're on a mission? So clarity of a mission for the company, in this case with FCB, it was creativity, that we were committed, doubling down on creativity, the work. That's the first thing that I think you have to get right. A one clear mission, and everybody at that company needs to understand they're all on that mission. They don't serve a purpose somewhere on the other side. Everything they do, from the receptionist to the CFO, serves the mission of how do I help make great creative. So that was the first thing. But the second thing to me is the partnership at the top. And I want to speak a little bit about my partnership with Carter Murray. Carter and I are very different. He is 6'8", 6'7", I don't know. I'm 5'3". I do know how tall I am. He sounds English, but he can also claim he's German, French, Scottish, and a Duke, collegiate graduate. I am a Southern American, and I went to UNC. Again, a big problem. Duke and UNC are extreme rivals. So we have a lot that I would say is complementary. He's an extrovert, I'm an introvert. He likes to hug, I will barely shake a hand. These are good things. You don't want to be partners with someone who's identical to you. But you also need to have things that are in common. And I would say that those things are your values. Carter and I share very similar values. Our moral compass is aligned. We are able to make decisions fairly quickly because of that, and we're able to have really great conversations. But one of the things that I found the best part of our partnership from a complementary standpoint is that Carter is one of those people who likes action immediately. He likes to take action immediately. He likes to run through the walls. I am more organic. I like to let the solution sort of find its way. Like, let's sit with this and watch it happen. Find out where we really need to go. And I often laugh. There's a cartoon that I'm going to put up here, which is that's Carter running through the brick wall, and that's me opening the door and looking in. And I would say if there's a fire in the other room, follow Carter. And if we just want to see what's in the other room, let's go through the door with me, and then you don't have to rebuild the wall. That's how Carter and I work together, is that he pushes me to take action more often, and I make sure that he doesn't act without thinking about what's going to happen next. And I would say that to really start to lead a company in the right direction, your business partner and your creative partner, or whoever you're partnering with, again, need to be aligned, but also need to know what they do best and how you help each other. So make sure that the people you're working with, you're complementary, you're not all alike. Diversity is a huge thing in this moment. We have a global team that's very diverse, and I think we make better decisions because of it. So a clear mission, a complementary partnership, and then the next thing I would say is clear language. And this is really interesting because over the years I've realized that even words that we use, if we're not clear about what they mean, everybody interprets them as something different. So over the years, I've worked with scales when it comes to looking at creativity and judging it. And I'm sure a lot of you have had agencies and maybe even internally in your companies a scale that kind of marks with numbers where you think the work sits. Most of the scales I've worked with in my career have been 1 through 10. And I wouldn't recommend this because 1 through 10 I found is just too many numbers for people to remember. And if they can't remember them, they don't use the tool. So when I got to FCB, I thought, let me sit down and think about what I've loved about this common language, this common approach, and let me think about what I've found has gotten in the way. So at FCB, we have a 1 through 6 scale. And I wouldn't even call it a scale. We actually call it the 4, 5, 6. Because we don't want the scale to be good, better, best. We want the scale to define work we don't want to do, work we're okay doing, and work on our best day we want to do. So I'll quickly just go through it so that you can kind of understand what anchors us in our communication globally around the world. 1 is damaging. Now, that sounds obvious, that you wouldn't want to do damaging work. And when we say that, damaging to you as a human being, damage to the company, damage to the agency, damage to the brand, damage to the world. But actually, a lot of damaging work does get out there. 2 is invisible. This is the one that really, I do not want to do this kind of work at FCB. If you think about it, invisible, why would you want to put money behind an invisible piece of work? This is the worst ROI in the world. Sadly, the 2 work is the kind of work that looks brilliant in a conference room. It looks brilliant when you live and breathe the business problem or the brand every day. But once you put it out into the world, nobody cares, nobody watches, nobody looks, nobody notices. Which brings us to 3. 3 is noticed. And noticed is not a bad thing. Noticed will keep the lights on. Noticed will probably keep us as a partner with our clients. But it sure isn't very ambitious to just do noticed work. I think this is commodity advertising. It's like for every dollar any one of your competitors puts behind a piece of messaging, you get your dollar value. And that's fine, but I think to be your best partner, we want to do more. Which brings us to 4. 4 we describe as provocative. And provocative doesn't just mean shocking. Provocative means interesting. It makes you lean in. You're curious. It starts a conversation. Provocative is maybe how you make something, where your idea shows up, where you show up. But it makes people interested. The difference between 3 and 4, the best way I can describe it, is if you think about if you're scrolling through social media, the 3 stuff is the stuff you like. The 4 stuff is the stuff you share. And that gets us to earned media. If people are willing to share your idea, you're starting to get a greater ROI. Then we go to 5, and 5 is what I like to call modern marketing, which is co-creation. It actually creates behavior. And when I say creates behavior, I don't mean it makes people buy the product or ask people to sign up for a service. It really says that the idea in and of itself asks people to participate. And again, we can do this today because of technology. So if you have a provocative idea, why wouldn't you think, how can you let your audience co-create? How can they be a part of the story? Can you expand your idea to a place where you invite people not only to like it or share it, but to participate in it? And then finally we have 6. And 6 is what we call a never finished idea. And this is our way of being focused on platforms. And we believe that platforms are very, very important. If you're not working on a platform idea, you have a much harder time building brand equity and brand value over time. So our goal is to make sure that we bring you a 6 platform, never finished idea that we can keep bringing to life through provocative ideas that ask people to create with us. So on our best day, if we can do the 4, 5, 6, we think we'll be one of the best partners clients could ever ask for. Another thing I've heard from clients about the 4, 5, 6 is that a lot of clients that have been in the business a while, they have what I call a seasoned gut, that you kind of know a 4, 5, 6 without even thinking about it. But I had a wonderful client in Brazil say that the way he was using the 4, 5, 6 is with his younger marketers, because he said they hadn't quite developed that gut. And having words to put to what they were feeling when they were looking at work, or how they should be looking at work and thinking about work, had really helped them and actually helped him do his job better and allow them, to make more decisions. So that's another reason why clear communication and a language that's in your company will really help you all become better marketers and more synergistic. And the whole point of this, besides teasing you about the 4, 5, 6, is the common language. Everybody in our company is working to understand what this 4, 5, 6 is. And it's very interesting because it started off as an experiment, like would it work? And actually, when we started writing this, I worked with chief creative officers around the world to ask them what they thought, where we should tweak language, how we should communicate this. So it is co-written by a lot of other wonderful people in the company. And I think that's important because I think the idea of people adopting tools that they don't feel that they've been a part of, it becomes much harder, versus if you create these things with people that are going to have to use them, they're vested in them. And then we said, let's try it for 6 months, and if it works, it works, and if not, we'll get rid of it. Turns out we've been using it for 5 years, and it's made us a lot better. We started noticing in engagement surveys around the world that the offices that scored high on I understand what the 4, 5, 6 is also scored higher in satisfaction as employees. So it just underlined the fact that clear communication about what we're doing and how we're going to do it and what is our standard has helped the company be stronger across the board. So again, in your company, be clear. What is your ambition? How do you define it? Do you have a common language? Otherwise, you'll find yourself in the telephone game, which, is an old cliche, but you end up passing information up or down. Hierarchy plays a huge role. People aren't sure what they're hearing. They're not hearing the same thing. And at best, it slows things down. At worst, it creates chaos. Another reason we have the 4, 5, 6 and we honor it and we treat it with utmost respect is because we do not want to work for awards. We want to work for the work that we want to do. And a lot of clients and agencies are always trying to guess what could win an award this year, what might win an award next year. I think this takes the eye off the big, long game, which is to do great work that creates great results. And I've always believed that the more creative a piece of work is, the better results will come. That's also why we say do our best work on our biggest brands. The other important thing about 4, 5, 6 is that we work for the work. We work for the 4, 5, 6 work. We don't work for awards. And I've seen a lot of clients and agencies that do believe in creativity start thinking that the way you should define creativity is how to win an award. I would say that that's the wrong conversation. Decide the kind of work you want to do. Define it within your agency. Start doing it. And my gut says it will win awards. We started leaning into the 4, 5, 6 in 2016. And in the year 2019, we were awarded one of the grand prizes of our industry, the Grand Prix in Titanium, for a piece of work we did for Burger King. We think this is a perfect example of a piece of 4, 5, 6 work, and it appears the industry applauded it also. Let me explain why it's a 4, 5, 6. Number one, it's really weird and provocative and curious, and you have to go, what? 2, it wouldn't be possible if people didn't play with us and participate and show up in social media talking about their experience with this idea. And it was built not on a platform that we discovered, but that we respect, which is the David and Goliath Burger King to McDonald's platform. So let's take a look at what we call this 4, 5, 6 award-winning piece of work.
Burger King wants you to come here. Yes to McDonald's.
Burger King is trolling its fast food rival
with a promotion available through the Burger King mobile app.
Yeah, but there is a small catch.
So I saw this Burger King commercial where you could
get a Whopper for a penny.
Only if you open the app while you're at McDonald's.
That doesn't even make sense. You have to go to McDonald's for a Whopper?
Whopper?
Use Burger King's BK app, then be within 600 feet of a McDonald's restaurant.
Burger King geofenced over 14,000
McDonald's restaurants in the U.S.
Unbelievable.
So I've parked my news car about 100 feet from a McDonald's.
I'm at McDonald's getting a coupon for Burger King. I almost feel like I'm stealing.
Let's go for the unlock.
Yes!
You unlocked the Whopper Detour.
This is a really cool promo, guys. How fun is this?
That's crazy.
Nice.
That's so horrible.
That's funny.
This is an amazing use of technology to get consumers out of a rival store and into your own store.
Can you do a Whopper Jr.?
They probably could make that. It wouldn't be as good as Burger King would, to be honest with you. Okay, where's the Burger King?
Like 4 blocks to your left.
So that was an example of some of the best work we do on our best day, the 4, 5, 6. But we also look at work as 4s, 5s, and 6s. We meet twice a year as a global creative council, and we look at the work that we're doing across the agency around the world, and we benchmark it. This isn't about giving ourselves accolades. This is about holding ourselves accountable to the things that we want to do for you, our clients. We look at all the work that we've done twice a year with our top creatives around the world, and we're tough. We judge the work that we're doing and discuss, why is it provocative? Why did it create behavior? Why is it a platform idea? And we hand out those 4s and 5s and 6s, and we've built a library so that people that are new into the company or people who've forgotten can go back and look at the kind of work that on our best day we want to create. Let's look at a 4.
Welcome to the honking capital of the world. Here, decibel levels go above the danger mark on a regular basis, and motorists with their indiscriminate honking are the main culprits. The Mumbai police decided to do something about it. The punishing signal. decibel meters were installed on different signal posts in the city. If the decibel level went over 85, the signal would reset, thus making the impatient motorists wait longer. Our interactive billboards relayed messages live, sending honkers on a guilt trip while they waited. A video of this was cut and shared by the police department's official Twitter handle. It went viral instantly, generating millions of views within a few hours. Even schools used it to educate our future motorists. News outlets across the country covered it extensively.
Traffic police have come up with a unique plan.
Punishing signal, जिसकी तारीफ आज पूरे देश में हो रही है.
The foreign press was also quick to pick it up.
Mumbai police have come up with an ingenious way.
En 15 minutes, ils en ont d'ailleurs fait une vidéo qui est devenue...
Most importantly, Mumbai police is in the process of installing punishing signals across the city. The administration from other parts of India have announced their plans to implement them in their jurisdictions too. Now hopefully, Indian roads will start becoming quieter. Or else, you get the idea? Huh?
And now here's a 5.
Playing your jogging playlist. It will take you 7 minutes to get there by public transportation.
Technologies that are activated by voice commands are becoming a way of life.
What time is supper? Turn on kitchen light.
Out-of-the-box Google Speech Recognizer would not recognize every third word for a person with Down syndrome, and that makes the technology not very usable.
Scheduling and reminders, practicing phrases, speaking to friends.
They rely on us for almost everything. And if a voice-activated assistant was there for him, that would really help him become more independent.
So we're partnering with Google.
The goal is to make speech recognition work better for people who have different types of speech.
By adding new data of a different speaker,
text mom for help.
We're able to make the model recognize this new speech pattern.
What we really need is for people with Down syndrome to record phrases and donate their voice.
Donate your voice.
Donate your voice. This would change everything.
Strawberry jam is sweet. I owe you a yo-yo today.
Go down the moving walkway.
The boy went down the path.
People with speech differences are helping to teach Google how to better understand them.
How cool is that?
I'm listening.
Just knowing that we're impacting voice technology globally, that's beyond my wildest dreams.
Hey, Google, thank you.
You're welcome.
And finally, one of our 6s.
Come and spoil yourself, okay? We're gonna get it. Some retail therapy, right?
That's Derek. He earns it. I spend it.
When it tastes like that, she's gonna put me in the poorhouse.
Here you go, gentlemen.
Just to clarify, are all your investments held jointly?
Marry Rich.
I'll send the quote to your husband.
Hey, thank you so much.
So, as you can see,
Jane is all of us. Jane is an analogy. You will relate to this video.
I'm super invested in changing the narrative around money and women, especially little girls.
All about how the things we tell girls growing up has them believe that they're not good with money.
Is a place where you can buy and sell parts of a company. Imagine this bowl of chocolate is a company.
Who knows the answer? Elijah?
27 cents?
Very good, Elijah. 27 cents is the correct answer.
So, we've had a few successes, and one of the things I've heard from clients is, okay, that's cool that you got that made, but how do I know you can do it for me? That's a very good question. And it made us start to think about how do we get luckier more often. So every time we have a success, we go back and look at how we got there. And sometimes it was lucky, sometimes it was planned, but we were like, let's make it more planned more often, and just getting lucky for luck's sake, less of the way we get there. And so we've developed a toolkit. It's a box of what we call tools, and just like in a toolbox, you need to look in there and decide for the moment what's the right tool to use. But we do believe that there's an order on your most perfect day in marketing that you would go by. And I'll just go through them quickly. We're, like I said about the 4, 5, 6, tools are the kind of things that the more you use them, the better you get with them, the more useful they are. But let's start with the first one, which is brand Bedrock. And this is one I think we've all heard of, which is really our way of getting to purpose for a brand. And we also respect that if you already know your brand purpose, we just want to understand it at a deeper level so that we can serve it better. The cool thing about a brand bedrock or a purpose is it's the guiding North Star for all of the brand's activity. What I love about when you really know your purpose and you live into it and you're committed to it over time, you will make decisions so much more quickly, and most of those decisions will be right, not wrong. The next tool in our toolbox that I would pull out on a most perfect day would be definitive design. And this is a tool that we are designing that does an analysis of your brand, your business's distinctive assets. And it's not just visual, it's sound, it's character, it's logos, it's sayings. What do you have that's sticky? And by the way, some of those pieces of design you need to eliminate. Sometimes we have too many things and it gets too hard to own the brand equity across too many choices. So understanding how your brand shows up visually, sonically, and where there's power in that and where there's not is so important. And also there might be opportunities that you haven't seen or heard that you haven't put into your equity building. What's interesting about brand Bedrock and definitive design is these are two tools to create timeless opportunities for your business and your brand. Timeless. That timeless thinking is actually how we get to stronger sixes, platform ideas, never finished ideas more often. Okay, back in the toolbox, the next one I would go to is the right bit. And this was inspired by a client that I was, not my client, but just a client I hang out with. And we were having dinner and she had just taken a new job and she said, I have too much data. There's so much data. I don't know what to look at. So we thought about, you know what? We need to get better at determining the right bit of data. And that's what we look for with the right bit, our business insights tool. It really is finding out where there is a business problem. In the example of Whopper Detour, the huge business problem was that Burger King was lagging when it came to app downloads, and the competitors were way ahead. And what we realized is that the app downloads were kind of like the new drive-through service. So imagine being the only QSR on the block that didn't have a drive-through. It would be bad news. So there was a business issue. That was the right bit to focus on in the moment. All right, there's another tool that we can go to called People and Patterns. People and Patterns is a push of the consumer or customer journey to be more interesting. It's really about looking at patterns that are happening on our brand, on the business, in the category, and in the world. And by looking at patterns, we can start to see how we can create better fives, because we can know when people want to participate and where they want to participate and how they're participating in the world. A perfect example of a five on Whopper Detour, we realized that the interesting thing about what was happening with People and Patterns is one day we were watching people queue up to get their food, their coffees, and the next day people were running by and grabbing coffees, grabbing their pickup orders. It was showing that not only were apps interesting on the business side, but that people were adapting that behavior really quickly, which made it more imperative that Burger King needed to do something to create more app downloads more quickly. It's interesting when you put the right bit and People and Patterns together, you kind of know you're in the sweet spot when they almost overlay. So behind in app downloads with competitors and people adopting to the behavior of using apps to order. As soon as we saw those two things overlaid, we knew that if we put creativity on top of it, it was going to be amazing. What's also interesting is if I said that brand Bedrock and definitive design were about creating timeless brand value, I would say that the right bit and People and Patterns get us to more timely business activation. You do the two things together and you're going to be very happy with your business results. So between the 4, 5, 6, brand Bedrock, definitive design, the right bit, People and Patterns, we're starting to get lucky a lot more often. The next thing I want to talk about is something that was a pattern in Cannes this year. And it was the best work, the work that rose to the top, most definitely had one thing in common. And that was a great client-agency partnership. So I have a feeling, and think about it if you do this, but when I was starting off in my career, I walked into a lot of client meetings thinking that my clients weren't very bright. And I've heard that a lot of clients walk into meetings thinking, I don't know if my agency's very bright. I hope you don't relate to that, but I have heard a lot of people walk into that proverbial conference room and sit across the table and wonder, am I with the best? Are they going to do right by me? Or are they going to serve an agenda that's not my agenda? A lot of questions. And most of them end up with, this is a little cartoon that I think sums up some bad beginner relationships with clients and agencies. I'm with stupid. It's not a great way to build a relationship. I really do think that you have to go in thinking you're on a team, that you both want the same thing. And again, if you are a client that doesn't care about creative, you shouldn't be with a creative agency. If you're a creative agency trying to get a client to want to believe in creativity, it's going to be a big uphill battle. You want to share the same ambition, and that's going to be a theme throughout this little chat. Build that relationship. Sometimes that relationship is built over time. Sometimes it's built out of respect. Sometimes it's a project partner relationship. Sometimes it's an agency of record relationship. But when you walk in together and have each other's back, want to support each other, believe in each other, believe that what you're trying to do is important, I think it becomes very important. And so I've always said, try to go from I'm with stupid to I got your back. Like a lot of relationships, sometimes, they don't happen in an instant. They're not perfect right out of the gate. You work towards them. And we've had a relationship with our client at AB InBev, Michelob Ultra, for, I believe, 6 or 7 years. There have been bumps in the road, I've got to be honest. There have been times that we've struggled to find the best expression of how we were going to support this brand. But we kept at it, and we had tough conversations, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. But because we both cared about getting to great work, we both kept talking. And we adjusted. Sometimes it was changing out talent. Sometimes it was changing out physical space, geography. But we worked to get to a place where we could trust and work together. And last spring, when the pandemic hit, the client-agency relationship was in such good shape that we were able to pull off one of the best pieces of work we've done on the brand since we started working on it. And I'd like to share that with you today.
We have seen some unbelievable things in basketball.
This is something out of a movie.
Games have been suspended.
This is the last night of NBA games.
The league will use this hiatus to determine the next steps.
We play games without the fans?
Yeah.
No, it's impossible. I ain't playing.
It's a whole new experience with Michelob Ultra.
Virtual fans are in attendance.
Yo, this is sick, dude. You just scan a Michelob bottle to see if you want a seat.
That energy and bond between people is an essential part of the experience.
It's pretty crazy, man. You can literally talk to the people in your section.
My brother right here. I hear I'm sitting next to Shaq. What's up, Brett?
That's a bomb!
Dwayne Wade in the Miami Heat section.
Snoop Dogg,
Mickey Mouse.
Scottie Pippen.
We see it, Chuck.
All of you exercise your voice and your rights.
It is a whole
It's
new
a whole
game.
new different kind of viewing
I like
experience.
that virtual crowd that they had.
The virtual fan board is unbelievable.
The NBA is leading the way, as usual.
It's fantastic what's happening in this bubble.
Why, yo?
Hey, shut up.
What you did, Cena, eh? Oh! Ridiculous!
What a beautiful pass.
I like this a lot. I want to do this more.
This is like a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic opportunity.
So how to get lucky more often? Have a shared ambition, clear communication, and great client relationships. At FCB, our mantra is we're never finished. A lot of people find it a tiring 2 words, and then the others find it inspiring. Those are the people that we're looking for. Never finished means we're always a work in progress, and we believe that about our company, which is 150 years old today, about our people. We invest a lot in coaching and upskilling and continuing to learn, and we believe it about our brands. That our best ideas build brand value over time and activate business short term. Always be a work in progress. Always realize there's more to do. And if you don't find that exhilarating, you might want to choose another business.
Susan. So, I suppose just first and foremost, thank you very much for your time and agreeing last year to give us your time and your insights. So, yeah, I just want to thank you. And we're a little bit short of time. We're probably going to get through 3 questions. There's some questions coming through from our audience. But thank you very much. And the work's amazing. So thanks for that.
Welcome.
Cool. So I thought the first question, I'll just get my own one off my chest. Just looking at the work, looking at your mission, which you share with your business partner. And I'm making an assumption here. We've got an agency with roughly 50 clients, and I would say we've got definitely 3 of our clients on board with a similar mission. So I'm assuming you have a host of clients. So I've got 2 questions. The first one is, how many of your clients you've got on this mission of doing great work that obviously leads to results? And then the second part of that question, if you can just share some insight. Those clients that are not completely on that mission, what's your strategy? How do you work with them? What do you tell them?
Well, I would say that as far as how many clients we have on the mission, it would be hard for me to come up with a number around the world, but we found a lot of them and we pull them closer and closer. So that's where you start. And what's interesting is that as you start to do creativity on work that matters, that builds business, more clients come on board because you can prove that it actually helps the bottom line. Creativity simply for creative sake can sometimes, not lead to the best outcomes. I will say that our New York agency has turned around in the last 3 years because we got fired by a lot of clients that didn't believe in creativity or didn't know how to get there. And in being fired, we actually were able to attract clients that do want to go on this journey with us. So sometimes as you're making a transformation, you're going to suffer some loss because the people that you're partnering with weren't there for what you want to do. And I think you have to have the courage to say, in the moment, we have to find the right partners, and they may not be on that journey with us, and you have to let them go, and they have to let you go.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. The second question, I suppose this is very much related to our country, our context, our history. As you know, because I know you've been to our country, but we are, I don't want to say struggling, we're working towards transformation. It's not happening as fast as we'd like it always. But you did, in the introduction, they spoke to you saying the importance of diverse teams. So when you build your teams within your agency, do you actively consider cultural aspects such as even race?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm fortunate that the global team that I work on is incredibly diverse. So I've firsthand experienced how much better we are when we have diverse voices to talk about. And I just think that diversity brings more story. If you're in a group where everybody had like-minded experiences throughout life, you've limited the ability to tell interesting stories. I mean, when I look at Punishing Signal from India, yes, it is culturally about a problem in India, but when I watch people watch it around the world in rooms, everybody as human beings enjoys the story. So diversity and storytelling go hand in hand.
Fantastic. I would support that. And then I've got another personal one, which I do think is potentially an industry issue on our side, maybe more related, because it's more related to the ad agency side of our industry, maybe less so to our clients. Because you also spoke of your partnership with Carter. And you know, in our side, in South Africa, we've got our creative circle, and then we've got the ACA. And then we always talk about the creative partner and the business partner. We're almost opposing creativity and business. So I just wanted to ask, you know, you say you and Carter are on the same mission. How much are you really on exactly the same mission for great work?
I would say over 100%. He loves creative as much or more than I do. And I've had so many, I guess about 15 years ago, I started to realize that if I didn't have a business partner that loved creativity, it was never going to work. I never have understood how people can separate the business and the creative. The business is creative. That's what we do. We're not in the service business. We make a product. We make a product for our partners, our clients. And if that product is great, we get paid more. If that product is average, we're a commodity. It is the business.
So there's so much, you know, there's evidence of this, and there's really a lot of talk on it. And so I'm just standing here thinking, if this is really the truth, if the work you're showing us, which we know is the top end of the global standard, knowing your performance at Cannes this year, congratulations for that. I know it's the first time in like over 100 years, and that must have been such a mission to achieve as a group. But that level of work is really the top end. And if it's true that work works so well, why is there so little of it? If I look in market, it's not, that is really like the top 2 to 5%. And the second part of that question is how do you get people on that mission? How do you convince them?
Okay, so I have a theory that about 20 years ago, we stopped working for the work and we started working for awards. And it was much easier to do work on things that clients weren't investing in, that weren't in the scheme of things very important, so that you could do them as side projects. And I called it the haute couture of creativity, where nobody in the real world saw the work. And I think what happened is that we forgot how valuable creative is to the business, because we weren't doing it on the work that mattered. And we've got to get back to applying incredible creativity to the work that matters. And that's scary, because it's much easier to do average and have it check all the boxes of research and testing, cover your proverbial rear end. But we've got to have more marketers that, want to go for it and not hide, not be afraid. And by the way, when you go for great creative, there's some failure in that too. So do you want to be consistently average or significantly brilliant? And that's, we need agencies that want to go for that, and we need marketers that want to.
Absolutely. So the takeout there, we need more bigger campaigns that are creative and not reserve them for those boutique campaigns that win awards, to show the evidence. There's a question that's just come through. It's probably going to be our last question. We've just got under 2 minutes. And I'm quite surprised, because you did speak to it in your presentation, but it says, how do you achieve sales objectives while still touching the heart with your number 5 and 6, which to me indicates maybe there's not a belief that it sells. So yeah, that's the question. How do you achieve the sales objectives with this top end work?
Well, first of all, you just have to you have to believe that creative, something that's more interesting to people, will move people to love your brand and buy your product. I watched AB InBev go on this creative journey about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was talking to one of the top people at AB InBev the other day, and I said, it's so funny, because 5 years ago, I remember sitting with you all, and there were so many marketers that were going, this is crazy, creativity doesn't make a difference, the work that you all are saying is great. Did not drive any sales. The stuff that you're not saying is very good did drive sales. We don't believe. And then cut 5 years later, they're fully invested in creativity. And we were celebrating the courtside work. And the gentleman said, I was one of them. And I said, how are you feeling today? He goes, I'm a believer. But it's because they started doing the right work on the right pieces of the business. And I just say, if you start applying creativity to the right pieces of your business, you'll become a believer.
I love that. That's a great way to conclude. The 10%, in the words of my one partner, that makes the 90% of the difference. So start focusing on those big campaigns, make them creative. Thank you so much for your time. All the best on your mission on that side of the ocean. And until we meet again.
Okay, peace well.